Nothing.
You're in a chat room again pretending to be a woman, aren't you?
I like the attention.
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. We are crossing the hedge. We are going not only to the final frontier, we are going to the other side of the hedge, which is the next dimension. Kirk.
Your weekly show of energy, herbs, music, mythology, and magic.
Hi, this is Candy of Incubus Succubus.
Segments brought to you by Magic Man Candles. Go to Facebook, Magic Man Candle Company.
Dude, the Atlanteans gave mankind the secret 10,000 years ago. Embrace it. That's how we're gonna solve modern problems, huh? Wisdom of the ancients. Ask Willie, bro. He's a shaman.
My precious. Welcome to the Samhain Show. I'm Brett, and this is Riding the Hedge for the Way of Wicca members. A special broadcast for what we're doing with the Way of Wicca. What is the Way of Wicca? Is it actually a lifestyle, a way, a community? Actually, yes, all of it. And it's really a community group that is a safe place for everyone to learn about witchcraft, learn about Wicca, as well as different pantheons, different spells, and a place where there's really no place to be a jerk. So that's really the only rule, is just don't be a jerk and enjoy yourself and respect other people. So go to the pin post and go to the rules, and I would agree with them, and out of the ordinary, because we like to keep it very happy, very educational, and fun. It's the Way of Wicca group on Facebook. So there is the Way of Wicca marketplace where you can go on and sell your stuff. I actually sold an obsidian on there and an obsidian crystal. That's an interesting story, by the way. I recently moved to Oregon, down by the river and down by the creek, which is close to my house. There is a whole lot of black obsidian. And I'm talking about big chunks of it, big stones where it's not just the little crystals. My fingers are hammered, which I should be wearing gloves when I'm doing that. I put it on the Way of Wicca marketplace, and it's a great place for you to showcase your items. And we're going to be going over some of those here in the next hour, but a lot of things coming up this hour. So Abigail Spinner McBride, who is a friend of ours, and we're going to be doing listening to some of her music, as well as an interview with her that was done quite a while ago. And Folknery, a band out of the Ukraine. And what they do is they ride their bicycles all over the country, or all over into smaller villages in Eastern Europe, as well as Ukraine and Russia. They get material for their music from the local customs, the local magical histories of folk magic. And a little bit more about them coming up later on in this next hour as well. Camille Freschi, who is an esoteric artist, and she really focuses on the eyes. We're going to hear a little bit more about her and a little bit more about the origin of her art. She's also a member of the Way of Wicca. So this is a special Samhain broadcast for the Way of Wicca membership group. And let's get it kicked off right now. You know, we like our witches here. Here with Camille Freschi, esoteric artist, and she specializes in pagan original oil paintings. Hello, Camille. How are you?
Hi, Brett. I'm good.
Tell me more about your paintings.
I paint a lot of goddesses, and I really love, mythology, fairy tales.
So let's go back to the beginning. We met around our mutual working with Hecate, the goddess of transition, new moon, and underworld. But just to lighten it up a little bit, how did you start painting? Did you begin with drawing?
Yeah, I began with drawing back when I was about 9 years old. I used to do a lot of costume designs, like Renaissance, Victorian, medieval dresses, and that kind of grew into fairy costumes. And I got Brian Froud and Alan Lee's book Fairies for my 9th birthday, and that really just propelled my whole obsession with the fairy realm and fantasy. So I started doing a lot of like portraits of elven women, and around that time I got into the Mists of Avalon, which I feel like was my first entry into pagan type, like the moon priestesses and the goddesses. And so that's when I kind of started with that whole moon imagery and symbolism. And now I actually don't really draw anymore. I think it's harder now than painting.
Well, my expertise was dinosaurs when I was 9 with eyebrows. And everything now to me kind of looks like, it really kind of looks cartoon.
The thing about drawing is when you can only erase something so many times. And like sometimes if you push really hard with the lead, you'll make grooves on the paper, and it's like, you erase it and you try to go over it and you can tell. But with paint, well, not watercolor, but if you're doing acrylic and oil, it's so easy to just cover it up and start over. So it kind of gives me sort of like a freedom, like there's not so much pressure. Like I can always fix it.
We've heard a lot about the modern witch, and I saw witchcraft go from, how I grew up with it, which was all very hush-hush. And I grew up in the 80s goth witch era, and to the modern witch. Give me your perspective on what a witch means to you, and especially with the commercialism of it.
Being a modern witch, it means that you're able to look beyond like all the ideas that are kind of implanted in our head from childhood onward, and it gets worse and worse the older you get. Ideas like life's just about, the 9 to 5 and saving as much as you can so that one day you can retire and then you can do what you want to do. We know that it's not like life happens to us. We have the power. We decide what's going to happen with our life. Magic is real. All you have to do is go spend some time in the woods to know that. In nature, where it's quiet, you can really just take a moment, forget about everything else going on. You'll see that it's real through spell work and through intention and just the way that you choose to think your thoughts. You have a lot of control. I mean, we've known this. Humans have known about this, and we've known about magic, and we've known about spirits. We've known about God and goddesses and their energy and the energies of the earth, and it's real. And, people in our society will look at us and they'll look back on our ancestors and think they were ignorant. But I think they knew much more than we do now what life was really about. It's really silly when you think about it, how like so many scientists today, they don't even want to acknowledge that side of things, although I feel like they are starting to become more open than they ever have been. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but when you look at things like quantum physics and all these spooky action at a distance, to me, that whole thing makes sense when you think about spell work and why that works. I think more and more, I think we are back to that. I know that sounds cliche, but I think we are moving back to the old ways.
I mean, not to start a cult or anything like that, but there's a little bit of that going on too. But
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like eclectic witches and, people that don't even necessarily follow Wicca, but more like taking things from different traditions and combining them together. Like, that's what I like. I am kind of like a fledgling witch. I haven't been on this path for about 5 years ago is when that spark kind of ignited in me. What about this? And I started reading about it and getting more and more into it. And obviously Wicca is what I came to first, which I think a lot of people do. But then, the more and more I looked into it, I was thinking, this is great and this feels much more true to me than anything I've ever encountered. But personally, I don't really want to go by rules. I guess I was probably around 13, and I was at a Bible camp because I went with my friends, like just for a fun thing to do, I thought. But, they gave me the whole thing about hell and everything. And my dad, he's like a physicist, like he's an agnostic. And I was like, well, wait, my dad, he doesn't really believe in God. So is he going to burn in hell forever? And the camp counselor was like, yes, sweetie, yes, he will. I believe that we're perfect souls having this human experience. And it's like, if we were perfect, well, then why in the hell are we even here? Like, what is the point? You know?
You started the Enchanted Souls Club and Aurora Eventide on Facebook. Tell me about the differences between the two, and it's a membership, isn't it?
Well, actually, the Enchanted Souls Club is free. So my company name is called Aurora Eventide. And then like a little sub headline would be The Art of Camille Freschi. You know, when you said what was the difference? The Enchanted Souls Club, it's just like a VIP club, which is free, on Facebook. And I created it for the purpose of connecting with my followers because, I mean, honestly, I owe everything to them. If it wasn't for them, you know, I wouldn't be here where I am today. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be living my dream of making this self-employed thing work. So I wanted a way to kind of connect with them and give back to them and really get to know them because I want to make sure always that what I'm doing is something that they want. Like, I don't really feel like I do my art just for me. I've always felt since I was young, my whole purpose in creating art is to add as much magic and beauty to the world as I can. That's really how I feel deep in my heart because I know personally when I view art that I love, that resonates like in some deep place in my soul, it can change your life. It really can, you know, if you're in a dark place or if whatever you're feeling, you know, just to be able to connect with something. And art, I feel it can express things that you just can't say with words, you know, kind of like music. So that's what I'm doing with the club. And I do giveaways. I'm going to be doing some flash sales and things like that. So that's definitely the best place to be if you don't want to miss any of that.
And Camille, you talked a little bit about, you can go a little bit more into detail of who are your inspirations.
So Brian Froud is definitely one of my biggest inspirations ever. And I feel like all the fairy artists that I like and that I've seen, I feel like he is really connected to real fairy energy. And it's just, his books are just crazy, like the amount of detail and the character he puts into all his little different fairy creatures and goblins, elves, gnomes, trolls. It's like everything in there. There's an artist, a Japanese artist. His name is Yoshitaka Amano. His paintings, well, actually, they're prints. He uses traditional printmaking, like lithography. They're just so evocative, and just the expression that he puts on their faces. I don't know how to describe it in words. It's just beautiful. He did a lot of the artwork for the Final Fantasy video games.
Mm-hmm.
Another big influence would be John William Waterhouse. He's actually a painter from the 1800s. He's kind of like part of the pre-Raphaelite movement, but he came a little bit afterwards. He was really inspired by those guys, though. And he does, he did things like all the things that I like Arthurian legend. They're just beautiful. Yeah, so if I was going to say the primary, it'd be Brian Froud, the fairy artist, and John William Waterhouse. And then there's actually a couple other contemporary artists that I really love. One of them is David Delamare, who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. But his paintings are just gorgeous. He does fairies and mermaids and Alice in Wonderland type things.
Camille, tell me a little bit more about your full collection.
June 27th, that's next week on Wednesday. It's actually the night of the full moon. I'm releasing my Moonstone collection, which is going to be 14 new rainbow moonstone jewelry pieces and 3 new paintings. And everything is going to have a celestial, lunar kind of a theme. So I'm really excited about that because it's my first official collection.